So we begin with the showdown in Chicago. Protesters seen taking to the streets, marching in opposition to the president's federal crime crackdown and immigration enforcement efforts.
Madeline Rivera is live in Washington with those details. Good morning, Maddie.
Good morning. That's right. Thousands of people gathered in downtown Chicago on Saturday, rallying against federal intervention. Let us check out this video. Many of the people carrying signs and banners saying abolish ICE. They're rejecting the deployment of troops. It is a major show of protest against what is happening in Chicago right now. Outside of the city, more than 100 protesters assembled outside of Naval Station Great Lakes in northern Chicago. It's said to be used as a hub for the administration's immigration crackdown. Chicago is bracing for more immigration enforcement. President Trump issuing a warning on Truth Social, saying in part, Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War, referring to the name change for the Defense Department. State and local officials are immediately firing back. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker saying the President of the United States is threatening to go to war with an American city. This is not a joke. This is not normal. Donald Trump is not a strong man. He's a scared man. Illinois won't be intimidated by a wannabe dictator. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says the president's threats are beneath the honor of our nation, but the reality is that he wants to occupy our city and break our Constitution. We must defend our democracy from this authoritarianism by protecting each other and protecting Chicago from Donald Trump. Now, local reports indicate they have not yet seen a ramp up in ICE operations, but protesters say they just want to make their voices heard. Rachel, Charlie, and Brian.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thanks, Maddie.
You know, where were these protesters back in 2021 and 2020 when you had the government shutting down playgrounds, shutting down churches,
Great point,
putting people in jail for walking around? Where were they?
Well, they were out there. They just weren't protesting those things. They were out there smashing,
Being celebrated.
They were out there destroying cities. That's what they were doing in Minneapolis and other cities. They always protest the wrong thing. So in Chicago, we're trying to clean up the streets, keep people from getting murdered. And they're protesting the guys who want to help prevent all that stuff, right? They're always on the wrong side, protesting in favor of the perpetrators, not the victims.
And somebody who knows about what it's like to live in Chicago and get murdered is Gianno Caldwell, who tragically lost his brother to Chicago crime violence. He was on Mark Levin's show last night, and here's what he had to say about it.
I am a person who've experienced this firsthand when my innocent teenage baby brother Christian was murdered on June 24th, 2022 in Chicago. And I've been out for justice for many other families, not just my brother, but many other families through the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety at caldwellinstitute.org. Support our efforts there. We have to change the trajectory of violent crime in Chicago. And the Democrats don't want to see Donald Trump come in because they know that Donald Trump will be successful in his fight against crime, and it'll put their incompetence on full display. People like Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, who knew that when he ran for mayor, the number one issue polled was crime for Chicagoans everywhere. What did he do? He got in office, and in his first year, he eliminated 800 police positions. Mind you, there were 2,000 needed in order to solve the crimes that are happening in that city. 75% of murders go unsolved in the city of Chicago. And this is the language that Mayor Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker use, saying that he should not come in? How dare they?
Do you remember yesterday when we played the clip of the Chicago mom whose 15-year-old daughter died?
Yeah.
I remember Brian asked her, do you see police around your neighborhood? She was like, nope, we never see them. Right. That explains why they eliminated 800 positions. By the way, as I saw Gianno Caldwell up there, I don't know if you're watching Gianno. You know what I thought? He'd make a great mayor.
Oh, yeah.
There you
Chicago.
go.
Oh, yeah.
Because he'd do the simple, basic things that matter in a city like that.
Exactly.
The politics of this are so crazy. And J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, spoke to this last night with Laura Trump. But you're either with the people who want to keep streets safe or you're with the criminals. It's kind of a binary choice.
Easy.
And President Trump, I mean, it doesn't even seem like a secret weapon, but his secret weapon is he chooses to be on the side of people who want to keep streets safe. Watch this.
You've got like the far left fanatics who, I mean, the president's political genius is he's encouraged the far left now to come out in defense of violent crime in our big cities. But say what you will about them, they're very angry right now and they're very motivated. And so I would encourage all Republicans and everybody, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or independent, who thinks that we're doing a good job, you got to remember to get out there and vote in 2026. Yes, it's, you know, people say it's not as important as a presidential election, but it is very, very important. And if you want to give the government over to people who are defending murderers on the streets of DC, then don't vote. But if you actually want to continue to secure the southern border and combat this inflation problem, you've got to get that out there and vote and give us that ability to continue accomplishing great things for the American people.
You guys remember yesterday when we did the story of the children that we found that our government is now finding, the Trump administration is finding, that were abandoned, given to people that we don't know.
Traffic, 22,000, right?
They found 22,000.
Yeah.
And we discussed how we hear nothing about this, about 27 Hispanic children who they found were murdered. Thousands reported that they rescued, thousands reported that they were raped. Not a peep from any of them.
Yeah.
Think about the kind of attention they lavished on the criminal Kilmar Obrego.
Such a good point.
I mean, that's when you talk about that, Brian, that's what came to my mind. Think about who they support, who they give their attention to, and who they ignored. They ignored the children who were the victims, but they supported a human trafficker who was here illegally, who beat up his wife.
There's no compassion. Like, everything for them is filtered through an ideology. Does this help us advance our leftist agenda? If so, we'll support the guy. Right. If not, we're not going to talk about him. And all of the humanity of the thing is actually lost as a result of it. Protesters taking to the streets of Chicago, marching against President Trump's plan to send the National Guard to their crime-ridden city. Nearby, more protests outside an ICE processing facility, this one against President Trump's planned immigration crackdown. One protester even tried blocking an ICE van from leaving. Chris Clem is a retired Border Patrol chief for the Yuma, Arizona sector. He joins us now. Chris, thanks for being with us. Look, I don't understand the protesters. They've got a right to do it. But if they get in the way of these operations, they are now standing in the way of people who are fulfilling their oath of office. And that, to me, is the problem. What do you say?
I agree with you 100%. You know, we feel free to protest. Don't interfere. But, you know, this is when I see these protesters and this particular playing out in Chicago, it reminds me of a quote from Martin Luther King about the dangers of sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. This is exactly what these protesters, these sanctuary cities, these governors that are pushing back against the Trump crackdown. Because, look, Rachel even mentioned it earlier in the segment about the exploitation and the human trafficking and the child trafficking that's been going on, and the 22,000 people, the kids that have been recovered in these groups. These target operations from ICE are the 400 plus sponsors that have been, you know, exploiting these children. So the people that are wanting to protect migrant populations, they're actually, you know, creating an environment that is further exploiting human beings. And this is ridiculous. They don't know what they're protesting. And I'm so proud of this administration cracking down on these violent criminals and these public safety threats.
Hey, I got to ask you about this one as well. An illegal immigrant is being charged with the murder of a missing 19-year-old Maryland woman, and the suspect was out on bail after a previous DWI arrest. It's that same story, Chris, of being caught, thrown right back on the streets, and there's too many situations where worse things happen when they're back out on the streets, Chris.
You're exactly right, Brian. This is playing out, unfortunately, over and over again. This is a direct result of the failed presidency of President Biden and the Democratic leadership about open borders and sanctuary cities. This keeps on playing out. And unfortunately, when somebody that was an illegal alien that was arrested for DUI, if there would have been a cooperating policy to turn that person over to ICE immediately, then we could have mitigated or possibly eliminated this type of heinous crime to happen. This is ridiculous that this continues continues to go on. This is why we say without border security, every town is a border town. Every state is a border state. We absolutely have to, continue the crackdown across the country to protect American lives and our American interests.
Chris Clem, we appreciate your very informed perspective on these things. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
All right.